In these hard times there will always be singing, always be singing in these hard times. In these hard times there will always be singing, always be singing in these hard times. In these hard times there will always be singing, always be singing in these hard times. In these hard times there will always be singing, always be singing in these hard times. In these hard times there will always be singing, always be singing in these hard times. In these hard times there will always be singing, always be singing in these hard times. In these hard times there will always be singing, always be singing in these hard times. In these hard times there will always be singing, always be singing in these hard times.
Our call to community this morning comes to us from Cynthia Landrum. Spirit of life and love, we gather together in different ways this morning, from computer screens, from telephones, from car radios. We gather, reaching out across the wires, waving from a safe distance, to come together in religious community, from living room to front porch to car seat. We gather as we are able, ready to be of service to each other, to the world, ready to build the community of hope and love. As we face this bright morning, we are apart, but we are together, offering our love, our commitment, our hope, and our prayers in service to one another and this world. It is a new way, but an old way, that we come together in worship today. And as we light our chalice, hear these words: fire consumes and casts a bright light. May our chalice flame consume our regrets for the past, our fears about the future, and our worries about today. May it light for us a path of joy and peace. Let us join together in our words of affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in freedom, and to help one another. Our opening thought comes from Ryan McKay in an essay that he wrote titled, "Is Religion a Force for Good?" So is religion a force for good? Ultimately, there may be no easily characterizable relationship between religion and morality. Under the pluralistic approach, we advocate decomposing both religion and morality into smaller parts, such that the relationship between them fans out into a matrix of separate relationships between more basic elements. So some components of religion may promote some components of morality, just as others suppress the same or different components.
that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. It's good enough for me. We will pray with Aphrodite. We will pray with Aphrodite. She wears that see-through nightie and it's good enough for me. Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. It's good enough for me. We will pray with Zarathustra. We'll pray just like we used to. I'm a Zarathustra booster, and it's good enough for me. Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. It's good enough for me. We will pray with those Egyptians, build pyramids to put our crypts in, cover subways with inscriptions, and it's good enough for me. Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. It's good enough for me. We will pray with those old druids. They drink fermented fluids, waltzing naked through the woods, and it's good enough for me. Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. It's good enough for me. We'll do dances to bring water, sacrifice animals for slaughter, sacrifice our sons and daughters, and that's good enough for me. Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. It's good enough for me. I'll arise at early morning when my Lord gives me the warning that the solar age is dawning, and that's good enough for me. Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. It's good enough for me. Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. It's good enough for me.
Our first reading comes from Charles Kimball and his book titled When Religion Becomes Evil. Religion is arguably the most powerful and pervasive force on earth. Throughout history, religious ideas and commitments have inspired individuals and communities of faith to transcend narrow self-interest in pursuit of higher values and truths. The record of history shows that noble acts of love, self-sacrifice, and service to others are frequently rooted in deeply held religious worldviews. At the same time, history clearly shows that religion has often been linked directly to the worst examples of human behavior. It is somewhat trite, but nevertheless sadly true, to say that more wars have been waged, more people killed, and these days more evil perpetrated in the name of religion than by any other institutional force in human history. Our second reading comes from David B. Feldman and his essay, Is Religion Good or Bad for Us? So as much as it's tempting to buy into oversimplifications like religion is good, real life isn't so clear. Although the research shows that religion and spirituality are often helpful, we should be open to the idea that specific aspects of religion may be good or bad for our health under different circumstances. Any complete understanding of human psychology can't overlook the many ways that religion can impact its believers. As the rabbi expressed, research shows that religion certainly can be a powerful force for good in people's lives. But like anything powerful, understanding it as fully as possible both for better and for worse, is the real fundamental good. Our meditation this morning comes to us from Andre Moll, and it's titled, All That We Share is Sacred. As we gather together, may we remember, when you share with me what is most important to you, that is where listening begins. When I show you that I hear you, when I say your life matters, that is where compassion begins. When I open the door to greet you, that is where hospitality begins. When I venture out to bring you to shelter, that is where love begins. When I risk my comfort to ease your suffering, when I act against hatred, violence, and injustice, that is where courage begins. When we experience the full presence of each other because of our shared humanity, because of our differences, that is where holy gratitude begins. May this space be a table that is not complete until all are welcome. May this table be a space of beauty where together we create a series of miracles, and where all that we share is sacred. May it be so. When I was 12 years old, on the news one night, there was a story about a horrific event that took place far away in a small country called Guyana in South America. And there was a cult religion there, led by a man in sunglasses named Jim Jones. And this man had required all of his followers to drink Kool-Aid poisoned with cyanide because the outside world had learned about the mental, spiritual, physical, and sexual abuse being perpetrated by Jim Jones and his inner circle. Jones killed some of the reporters and politicians who came to Guyana to investigate and expose the evils of Jonestown, and Jones decided to commit his last act of abuse, his last act of power over his followers by having them participate in a mass suicide. This horrific event was something that we discussed in my United Methodist Church youth group on many occasions. How could someone use religion, something that we all saw as being good, in such an evil and abusive way? How could people be convinced by this manipulative and abusive person, Jim Jones, to sacrifice so much, to travel all the way from California to South America, to create a new town and live under such demeaning and dangerous conditions? And how could they not only be convinced to drink the poison Kool-Aid themselves, but have their spouses and children drink the poison as well? This event was my first glimpse into something I did not realize before my 12th year on this planet. Religion can become evil. It was a jarring realization, and on more than one occasion it made me ask the question, could the religion that I loved so much, the religion where I was finding meaning and community and a sense of purpose in the world, could this religion also become evil? And if it could become evil, was there anything I could do to make sure that it did not happen? I knew in the depth of my soul that religion was not meant to be what Jim Jones had made of it. I was never, ever going to drink the Kool-Aid, no matter who told me to do so. It was only years later, in college and seminary, when I learned in great detail that my religion, Christianity, had also become evil on many occasions throughout history. And it deepened my determination to express religion in such a way that brought life and goodness to the world, rather than abuse, violence, and death. A couple of weeks ago, I led a discussion about a book. The book was titled After Columbus, the Smithsonian Chronicle of the North American Indians, and it was written by the historian Herman Viola. Reading the book gave me a stark reminder of the problematic and even evil role that many forms of the Christian religion have played in supporting and justifying the oppression and genocide of indigenous peoples. This, of course, is the case not only here in North America, it has been the case in colonial expansion throughout the world. Economics and political power may have been the driving forces behind colonialism, but religion often provided the justification that the evil that was being done was in the end not truly evil because it was bringing conversion and thus salvation to the world. While there may have been some examples of sincere colonial missionaries who thought they were doing good by bringing Christ to the unchristian, the historical results of this missionary enterprise contributed to the destruction of both people and their cultures through military conquest, removal of indigenous people from their land, the spreading of deadly diseases, and education programs that represented a form of cultural genocide, the purpose of which was to eradicate any vestiges of indigenous culture and religion. The use of religion to justify colonialism and its physical and cultural violence, including the genocide of indigenous peoples, is but one of a long litany of examples of when religion has become evil. Within the Christian tradition, one can also point to the subjugation of women, the Inquisition, the Crusades, the religious justification of slavery, and the Holocaust as times when at least some forms of Christianity brought significantly more evil into the world than good. And this, of course, is not just a Christian thing. I do tend to pick more on Christianity since it is the tradition whence I come. But we have seen similar instances of evil expressed by adherents of many other religions as well, where truly horrific, torturous, and deadly acts are justified in the name of this or that religion. The world is full of too many examples of religion continuing to be used to motivate hate, justify terror, and perpetuate the oppression of others. One could argue that more persons have died or have been killed in the name of religion than perhaps from any other human activity or phenomenon within all of human history. And we know examples of religious violence and religious justifications for violence and war are with us to this very day. And when we look at this horrific violence in the world and the role that religion often plays in justifying this violence, it is more than understandable why many persons do not want to have anything to do with religion. How can religion be a good thing if it is constantly being used to divide us, demean others, treat people unjustly, and promote violence? We cannot deny that religion has been used and is being used to do all of these things and more. Understandably, many persons have concluded that religion is more of a problem than a solution to our world's problems. And perhaps this is one of the reasons why here in the United States, the fastest growing self-identification in relation to religion is none. N-O-N-E. Couple this with the tendency for some religious groups to be anti-scientific, homophobic, sexist, and apparently unconcerned about our ecological crisis, and it is no wonder why so many of us are not only distancing ourselves from religion, but are actually running away. There are certainly times when I look at my own religion of Christianity and all of the wrongs that it has done and continues to do in the world, and my reaction is to want to run away. Why would I want to be associated in any way with a religion that has justified the Crusades, implemented the Inquisition, treated women unequally, perpetuated unjust imperial rule, rejected science and killed scientists, and at times justified slavery and genocide? Just reciting this incomplete list of atrocities makes the feeling of wanting to run away grow even stronger. However, I don't think the answer is running away from religion per se. I think the answer lies more in self-transformation and world transformation from the place where I am, from the place where each of us are, and thereby transforming the religions of which we are all a part. There has never been a time in human history when religions have solely been a force for good in this world, because religions are made up of us. Religions become a force for good in the world when we, who are a part of them, recognize our brokenness and the brokenness of the world, and when we are humbly transformed to become healing agents for all life, including our own. Only then does religion do what our world so desperately needs: reconnect us to each other and the community of life of which we are all a part. This is the vision of religion that people like Dorothy Day, Martin Luther King, Thich Nhat Hanh, and John Lewis have shared with us in the recent past. They saw religion as a way of reconnecting us together in human community, as a way of bringing peace, justice, love, and healing to a broken world. For them, religion is true when it lifts up the most vulnerable among us, helps us to be more mindful of ourselves and others, and gives us all hope and possibility for a life in the beloved community of which we are all a part. Amen.
When I was a boy, each week on Sunday we would go to church and pay attention to the priest. He would read the holy word and consecrate the holy bread, and everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. And when I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two, and Jesus made the water wine. And I remember feeling sad, miracles don't happen still. But now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything's a miracle. Wine from water is not so small, better magic trick is that anything is here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. When holy water was rare at best, it barely wet my fingertips. Now I have to hold my breath like I'm swimming in a sea of it. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down, but I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. Child's face, say it's not a testament, that'd be very hard to say. See another new morning come, say it's not a sacrament, I tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood, I saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush and singing like a scripture verse. It made me want to bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then. Everything is holy now. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down, but I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now.
Our parting thought comes to us from Dorothy Day, who wrote these words: "The greatest challenge of the day is how to bring about a revolution of the heart, a revolution which has to start with each one of us." And now let us extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Do you sometimes feel that you are wandering through the wilderness? Well, you're not alone. Join us on September 13th, as I'm going to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. And we're going to talk about miracles, magic, justice, terror, and truth on our way through the wilderness. See you then.